They're coming back.
It's 10:51 and we are back in session. Mr. Sullivan, would you like to do a recap?
Yes, Your Honor. Patrick Sullivan, City Attorney. Prior to this last recess that the council took action by a vote to readmit the public, other than the two parties that were mentioned earlier, the one who was ruled out of order when he was speaking, the last speaker, before we went into clearing the room on 9D, as well as the gentleman who was involved in the alleged assault and battery. So those two people have not been allowed back in. I went out when the council went on recess and made an announcement to the public outside in the hallway that the council had chosen to come back into session, that everyone would be allowed back in except those two people. I also said that they would have to subject if they had to the bag check. And then finally I did say that the mayor would probably give the admonishment at the beginning of the meeting that if there are any further outbursts or violations of our rules of order, that the council could clear the chambers again and proceed without an audience. And so this would take us back into item 9B, which is the ordinances and resolution and ordinance summaries regarding the council rules of order.
Okay, so before we get started, again, I'm going to reiterate that any person that engages in disorderly or disruptive conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the city council meeting will be removed. The city council can clear the room and continue without an audience pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.9, or the city council may adjourn the meeting. So the ground rules are behavior, no calling out, no yelling, no screaming, and respect other people's rights to speak. We're back on the record on 9D. Anybody wish to hear it?
Hi, thank you, council, for letting us on.
It's on.
It's on, okay. Thank you for letting us back in. I appreciate that sitting where you guys sit, it's a long, long night. So when every speaker has 3 minutes, you're like, come on. And certain people will just waste the time and stand here and grandstand. Perhaps instead of shortening the speaking time to 3 minutes per speaker, if someone is using the time to grandstand and not speak, you can just tell them they're done, instead of depriving the rest of us who speak orderly and politely and depriving us of the time that we need to speak. That's just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
I'd just like to reiterate that process right there. 3 minutes, I think, is, I know it's a little bit longer than 2 minutes, but 2 minutes doesn't really give a person layout and structure, coherent, content so that they can explain something. And so 3 minutes has always been the norm before. Personally and professionally, I think 3 minutes is the acceptable amount of time for a citizen to be able to come up here and succinctly point out, their specific opinions and what the subject matter is. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Seeing no one else, we'll take it up here. And I've heard the people about the changing of the time, and changing of the time is taking 1/3 of the time away, I guess, is catastrophic. But Mr. Sullivan, we can actually shorten the time at any meeting, can we not? If there's an overabundance of people who wish to speak.
Correct, Your Honor. If there is a large number of speakers, the council actually has several options. You could cut the time per speaker on an item. So, like going back to like the car wash item where we had hundreds of people, or the gas station, the Tower gas station, you could actually cut the time to 2 minutes. LA County Metro does 1 minute. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying there is alternate ideas. You can also restrict the total amount of time on an item. So you could say we're going to spend no more than 2 hours on this item, or whatever else the council wants to do. But yes, you could do that on any night if you want to change it. And if you wanted to change, on the fly tonight, you can make a change to this as well.
I think it would be more comfortable if we remained with the 3 minutes as it is, but with the caveat or the ability of this body being able to limit the time on a case-by-case situation. As long as we're giving everybody the same amount of time. The young lady had an idea to cut people off when they become irrelevant, but that'd be a very difficult thing for us to be the judge of. People believe that their time is well spent, and they may have thought about it, and as one gentleman said, 3 minutes is, it's tough to get your thoughts together and put them out there in 3 minutes. And I certainly respect that. I've been on the other side, and I've been to the Board of Supervisors where you only get 1 minute. I've been to Metro where you only get 1 minute. No changing for anybody. Everybody gets the same thing, and much the same as here, the mic goes off. So the time is over. So everybody gets treated equally, and that's the most important thing. I think that's what we're yearning for. Councilmember Griffiths?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Steph touched on it a little bit about what other agencies do for time and under public comment. Is 3 minutes a standard pretty much all over, or is 2 minutes, 1 minute? Is there any, and I know you probably don't have a survey available to you, but I'm just curious if anybody else has any other feedback on other agencies.
I don't have a survey on that. I do know 2 or 3 is pretty standard for most agencies. It seems as the size of the agency goes up, the amount of time goes down, just because of the volume of speakers. So like LA County, LA Metro, down to a minute. Others use 2, some do 3, and then some really small cities do 4 and 5. So it just depends on where you are and the volume of speakers you have. But it's obviously, it's your discretion of the council. These are your rules.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Public comment's always been something very important to me, and I know I've led some committee meetings where we've had hours and hours and hours of public comment, but it was done in an orderly fashion, and it gave the people, the public, the opportunity to share their thoughts and views. And when something like that happens, I think there's a general positive feeling as a result of that. At least that's been my experience in those situations. But I also want to share and remind people that there is the other opportunity people have for public comment, is that's through email or written communication to the council. They can write down 10, 20, 30 minutes worth of what they want to say in correspondence to the council, which can be included as a supplemental to any agenda item, to be able to share your thoughts and feelings on any particular item. So that's something to also keep in mind. So this is a tough one for me.
Councilmember Goodrich.
This may not be so much a decorum issue, but I'm wondering if it should be addressed in this nonetheless. From time to time, we've had people come up to the podium with their cameras, and the cell phone interferes with our audio system. And I know we've said that that's no longer allowed, but is that something that we should have codified?
That's something we could codify. I would have to look at staff in the city manager's office about if we're still having that same problem with cell phones, with the feedback from the public or not. That's something that...
And I have to wonder why people do it anyway, because it's on TV, it's rebroadcast, it's live streamed at any moment, so.
Yeah, I think if staff has that concern that it is not, that it is literally cutting our feed, and then we have a legitimate governmental purpose for it, that's fine. I guess the question would be is how do you know if someone has a cell phone with them? I mean, unless I guess we try to have feedback on the microphone. Like, I have one in my pocket right now, I'm not sure you can tell that. So that's the other question, is how will we tell? Unless maybe if there's a feedback from the sound, but I could defer to the staff that actually handled that.
The new system isn't as sensitive as it was. The new system isn't as sensitive as it was before. We haven't had significant problems with that, but it can occur. Council on what they're bringing up and how they have it as to the microphone, how close the microphone.
I see. Thank you.
Councilmember Matucci.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to clarify that speakers can speak at every item, right? Is that what we're doing?
Yes, Councilman Matucci, I think one of the earlier speakers had pointed out that there was ambiguity with section 6.4, which is allotted time. It says consent 2 minutes per speaker, and I think that his concern was that would say if you wanted to pull 3 items from consent, you could only get 2 minutes on the whole consent. Same thing with administrative matters. That was not the intent of the drafter, because I know him well, which is me.
We can clarify.
So we could clarify that if the council would like to do, and what I would suggest on item section 6.4A, 2, 3, and 4, and actually 5. So number 1 wouldn't need to change because oral communications, you only get to speak once. But on A2, which is consent, A3, administrative matters, A4, any other matter on the agenda, and A5, public hearings, that we could change that to 2 minutes per agenda item per speaker. And I think that would just be a scrivener's error that we could correct on the fly right now and have that done. It's one of those things that you can look at an ordinance over and over again, you don't see it, and then a member of the public looks at it and says, what do you mean there? And you look at it like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely want that clarified.
Yeah, no, the intent was per item, and I think we can make, if we just add per agenda item per speaker on 2, 3, 4, and 5 of subsection A of section 6.4, I think it solves that.
Okay, and just to clarify, the mayor can reduce the time even on the agenda items or just on the oral communication?
The mayor, as the speaker, can do it on any matter before him. I didn't actually, that's not actually in the rules. We could add it right now if you wanted to, but it's within his ability as the presiding officer of the meeting. If you want a specific one, we can add it right now on the fly.
I'd probably like to see it on paper. I mean,
Sure.
That's just me.
I can draft something.
And I'm more comfortable with keeping the 3 minutes. I think if we do have the option of reducing it, so if a lot of people do sign up and we feel that we want to give more people the ability to speak, I think having that flexibility is great, but keeping it at 3 minutes, I think it's fair. My position. And also, if they speak at the oral number 1, they're not going to be able to speak at the oral number 2?
Correct. You get to speak at one or the other, and that's always been our rule.
Okay. So, yeah, I'd be in favor of 3 minutes, keep it at 3 minutes. I'll make sure that we specify that they can speak at every item. And also, put it down on paper, put it down in the ordinance, the ability, I'm sorry, what we were talking about. I can't think right now. I'm tired. I don't have enough Oreos.
I should have brought Oreos.
There you go.
Sir, your 3 minutes is up. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Did it right in the 3 minutes. Councilmember Rizzo.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm in agreement with what's being said here about maintaining the 3 minutes. However, it has been expressed that the mayor can, in fact, reduce that time limit to 1 minute, 2 minutes, depending on. And I see in 6.4G, the last sentence, unless otherwise ordered by the city council, the mayor may limit the aggregate time of hearing or discussion. Now we're talking about that comment that you made, Mr. Sullivan, in reference to 2 hours on a particular item that we're only going to take testimony on. But if we're going to provide the mayor the ability to change that 3 minutes downward rather than extending it, then I think we need to have language in that particular section that says that.
We could add, right at the end there, so the mayor may limit the aggregate time of hearing or discussion, I would add on an agenda item, and then I would add a new sentence that,
I'm here, I didn't hear you.
I would add, it says that the mayor may reduce the allotted time per speaker
Per item.
on an agenda item, when there is a large number of speakers or something like that.
That would, granted, I would like to see that kind of language, at least in section G, because we do address the fact that the mayor may extend the time, but we have nothing in there that addresses the mayor may reduce that time as well. So I think it's important that we have some language that says that the mayor may reduce the time.
So I was adding that sentence at the end, when there are a large number of speakers, the mayor may reduce the allotted time per speaker on an agenda item.
Fair enough.
That'll be nice and clear.
Whenever we get to a motion, and I think I kind of see where the council's going, I can read in what I think you're saying, and if that's what you're saying, you can adopt that as a motion.
Okay. Councilmember Chen?
Thank you, Mayor. Since it seems like we're doing this in real time, I just want to ask Mr. Sullivan, on page 13, 6.4, E as in Edward. I know we're talking about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and per item. Does not paragraph E address per item, or do we need to modify that more? That's how I read it. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I guess if you want to holistically read section 6.4A with section E, you could say that you wouldn't need to make a change because it's implied they get to speak once per item.
Right.
And then therefore the 2 minutes above is there. So like I said, if you want to make that clarification, you can, but if you read them together, I think you can make the argument that says you get 2 minutes per item when you read A and E together.
Right, that's how I read it. The way the indentation works, E is on the outer side, so it covers. And I'm inclined to agree with, going back to 3 minutes and giving the mayor flexibility to make the adjustment. Thank you.
Okay, so you made enough copious notes that you're willing to go forward if somebody has a motion?
I think I can, I'll suggest what I think you're saying, and if you like it, you can adopt it as a motion. If you don't like it, you can tell me you don't. So what I think the council is saying that it would be approving, so we're going to go in order, the first ordinance, they're identical. So the regular ordinance, but with the change to section 2.12A, to change 2 minutes to 3 minutes.
Yep.
And then also in 6.4, A, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and G as well, that everywhere it says 2 minutes, those will be reflected to be 3 minutes. And then at the end of item G, the last sentence, after discussion, we would add on an agenda item, period. And then add a new sentence that reads, when there are a large number of speakers, the mayor may reduce the allotted time per speaker on an agenda item. And then it's up to you if you'd like to make the change to 2, 3, 4, and 5 of section 6.4A, changing to per agenda item per speaker. If you'd like to adopt that, you could, or if you want to go with Councilman Chen's over reading A and E together, that 2 minutes per item.
Councilmember Russo?
Did you miss one on 6.4 that's going back to 3 minutes as well?
Yes.
6.4A.
6.4A1.
Oh, I did, sorry, I did miss A, so it would be, want me to start over? It is late. We'll try this again. So, I believe what the council is trying to say is that they'd like to adopt this ordinance, the regular ordinance, but make the following changes to section 2.12A. It would be changed from 2 minutes to 3 minutes. To section 6.4, A, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That would be 2 minutes to 3 minutes as well. To 6.4G, that would change from 2 minutes to 3 minutes as well. The last sentence of 6.4G, we would add after discussion on an agenda item, and the period would go there. We would add a new sentence at the end that says, when there is a large number of speakers, comma, the mayor may reduce the allotted time per speaker on an agenda item. And like I said, you can either leave the motion right there, or if you'd like to add further clarification on 6.4A, 2, 3, 4, and 5, it would be, it would read as 3 minutes per agenda item per speaker, if you wanted that clarification.
Thank you, Your Honor. And with that said, I would move to adopt an urgency ordinance. And my rationale behind that is that exactly what occurred here this evening, that we do in fact need to get our rules in order to prevent what occurred here this evening and going forward. So my motion would be to adopt an urgency ordinance to amend the municipal code, adopt the resolution, the amending the rules of order, and approve the ordinance summaries for publication. And as per the amendments, I would, just so everybody's clear, even though it's implied that D, or section E, 6.4E says speakers only speak once per item, just to be crystal clear, go with the language on 2, 3, 4, and 5 that it's per item, per speaker per agenda item, or the language that you use as amended.
And okay, so that's so everything I proposed, including that last part. And then just for clarification, did you just do the urgency, or did you do the regular ordinance as well?
I'm doing the urgency.
Urgency first, or are you doing the urgency and the ordinance? Just trying to
We're
figure
going to
out
adopt the ordinance as an urgency ordinance is what I'm moving. So
I guess what I'm suggesting you adopt both.
I am adopting
Okay,
both,
okay.
yes.
Okay, so just to clarify your motion, it's to adopt an emergency ordinance and a regular ordinance, as well as the resolution and the ordinance summaries, making the changes from 2 to 3 minutes, making the changes per agenda item, per speaker on A, 2, 3, 4, 5, and making the change to the end of G as well. Anywhere it says 2 minutes, it's now 3 minutes.
That would be the motion.
Thank you.
And I'll second that.
Start voting, please.